It's kind of hard for me to believe that it's been 5 months since I launched the Weekend Workshop course back in January. And while I'm really happy with all the changes I've made in my shop and all the upgrades, this is the one weak link that's just been nagging at me ever since. I didn't build this stand for my drill press specifically for it. This was a cabinet I've been using for other things, and when I remodeled my workshop, I just needed a place to set the drill press, and this was what I had available. But it's got a couple of problems. The biggest problem is that it's up too high. It's real uncomfortable to work on the drill press with my materials up here. I'd rather have them more at almost at a waist level when I'm working on them. The second problem is that the stand itself is a little bit top heavy. I don't like the way it wobbles around, so I want something sturdier. I don't know if I need all of these drawers, although it is pretty handy to have them. The way it is here, I have the drawers on the top and I just had some storage space on the bottom. I think I originally built this to just keep some scraps of lumber in that space. But that's really where I need most of the weight, down on the bottom, to keep it from wobbling. So what I want to do is design a new stand, but I don't want to do one that's just specifically for this drill press. I'd like to make kind of a multi-use stand that you might want to build for your shop. I didn't include this as part of the Weekend Workshop course because I don't think a drill press is really an essential tool to have. It is really nice to have, but it's not something I use all the time. Another thing I'd like to do is use this project as an opportunity to do a full beginner's SketchUp tutorial. I know a lot of you have been asking for it, and I think this would work out great. I'll do that one as a standalone long format video so that you can follow along with the design. And I think you would find it interesting and useful to see after the design is made and I actually start building this project, what kind of design changes and tweaks that I discover that I need to make. SketchUp designs are great, but once you get into the real world, they often change. Maybe not. I may just get really lucky this time. So the first thing I need to do is give this some thought, take some measurements, and turn on some lights in here so it's not quite so dramatic. The first thing I want to do is determine how high I want this cabinet to be. And you know, of course, the drill press table itself is adjustable. It goes way up and down. There's sort of an average spot where it usually sits, and that seems to be right about here. That's the distance from the chuck to the table. So I'm gonna use that as kind of a baseline. And also, I like the distance when I'm standing like this, where I'm almost at a right angle here. Seems to be a good height for that table. So, you know, if I measure that out real accurately and scientifically here, I get about 42 inches high or so. So that's about where I want this table, the top of the drill press table, to sit. And it looks like that's about 10 inches lower than where it sits now. So ideally, I should be able to take this cabinet height here and drop it down 10 inches. So it's sitting at 37 inches. So if I take that down to 27 inches, following me so far? Right there. That should be about the height that I want the cabinet. For those of you using metric, that converts to about yay high. I just had another idea. This is my ultimate finishing cabinet, and that seems like that might be the right height, so at least it gives me an opportunity to kind of test it out. Let's see, this one is 32 inches. 8, 29, 30, that's 5 inches higher than I was planning. If I can give it a shot. These things are so heavy. Okay, let's do that. So you can see, you know, that's a little higher than I was wanting, but it's actually not too bad. Maybe that's more about what I want. Decisions. So if I made the cabinet the shorter height that I originally thought of, that would place it. Oh, another thing I just thought of is having it lower here also makes it a lot easier for me to change these belts and change the speed of the drill press. This stool is 29 inches high. I think I'll split the difference. I'm not gonna go down to 27 inches, but I also think this might be a little bit too high at 32. So I'm gonna go 29 inches. The other really important thing I want to take into consideration is my shop layout and workflow, which was a huge part of redesigning my shop. And the one thing that just doesn't quite mesh is having the drill press over there when I've got my drill and driver station over here with all the bits and everything. And I really love having that over there. I think that works out perfect. It's right next to my sanding station and then my drop down work center. So I don't want to move that over to the drill press location. I'd rather have my drill press over there. That means I'd need to move my miter saw station out and have it over here, which I think might be a better place for it anyway. The problem that I'm seeing is that having the drill press over there is probably going to interfere with that tool, the hand tool panel. So I may have to move that. And that may require moving this cabinet from the powered up course over a little bit. I'm not quite sure yet. You know, basically I've got about 24 inches to work with in here. I've got an outlet back here that I need for charging up my batteries. And 24 inches wide for the cabinet would actually be perfect. That's the same as that cabinet that I'm using right now. I think what makes the most sense is just to move this whole panel over on the other side of my window above where I'm gonna keep the miter saw station. And that sort of makes a lot of sense because that would keep all of my saws together in sort of one zone. I'd have my miter saw, band saw, and table saw all kind of grouped together. One other thing I need to consider, and don't you love how once you start moving one thing around, everything has to be moved around, is my flip-top sanding station over here where I've got my disc sander and my spindle sander, and it's kind of on the other side of the shop, again, not with my sanding station. So my thinking now is that I could move that over here where the miter saw is now and just move my drill press over this way where that powered up cabinet is now. That means I would have to remove that big cabinet and move it someplace else. But I could move it over here where the drill press sits right now. So I don't know, I've got a lot of options to consider here. I'm really glad I have everything on casters. So that's some of my thought process, but I'd also love to have any thoughts or suggestions that you have on this project. Anything that you would like to see on a drill press stand, or anything that you would like to see on kind of a generic stand. What would it have that would be most useful for you and probably the most useful for the most amount of people? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments so I can maybe incorporate some of that stuff into the design. I'll see you guys later.